All right, the second chunk of our lesson will cover example B only. So let's take a look at the example that's already been worked out for us, and then we're going to do the try these. On the previous slide, you should have seen this right here that says reading math. Sometimes a variable may include a subscript. A subscript is a small number or letter written to the lower right of the variable. For example, the variable v little 0 has the subscript of 0. The subscript 0 is often read as not. Not is another word for 0. A variable with a subscript of 0 usually indicates the initial value. So v sub naught indicates the variable value of the velocity or the velocity when the time is equal to 0. Let's take a look at example B to start. It says the equation V equals V naught plus A times T gives the velocity in meters per second of an object after T seconds, where V naught is the object's initial velocity in meters per second. A is the acceleration in meters per second squared. Solve the equation for A. Determine the acceleration for an object whose velocity after 15 seconds is 25 meters per second and whose initial velocity was 15 meters per second. Part A starts with the initial or the original equation, V equals V naught plus AT. So the first thing we want to do is, since it's asking us to solve for A, here we're going to isolate our A term. So we are going to subtract V naught from both sides. Now, please know there's a difference between V and V naught. So I cannot treat those as like terms because they are not actually the same. So we use the subtraction property with subtracted V naught from both sides, and we combine like terms. So I have V minus V naught equals AT. Now we want to isolate the A. So I'm going to divide by T on both sides of the equation using the division property. So now I have V minus V naught divided by T equals A. Well, in order for it to say A equals, we just use what we call a symmetric property, saying that whatever's on the left-hand side equals the right, and I can basically switch them across the equal sign. So please notice that here the A went to the left side and the V minus V naught divided by T all stayed in the same order and just moved to the right. So I've solved for A. Now, it says to determine the acceleration for an object whose velocity after 15 seconds is 25 meters per second and whose initial velocity was 15 meters per second, substitute 25 for V, 15 for V naught, and 15 for T. So they substituted in 25 for the current velocity, 15 for the initial velocity, and 15 for the current time. Well, 25 minus 15 is 10, and 10 divided by 15 is 2/3 or 2/3 meters per second squared. Here, we're going to try these B. It says the equation T equals 13P plus 108 can be used to estimate the cooking time, T, in minutes for a stuffed turkey that weighs P pounds. Solve the equation for P, then find the weight of the turkey that requires 285 minutes to 85 minutes to cook. So let's start off with our equation. T equals 13P plus 108. So if I'm solving for P, I need to first isolate the P term. In order to isolate, I need to subtract by 108. Over here, that cancels out. I'm left with T minus 108 equals 13P. Now isolate the P. So we're going to divide by 13. That gives me P on the right-hand side. And I don't think that 108 is divisible by 13, but I'm going to do a double check here. As you can see, no, it's like 8.3 something. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to say T minus 108 all divided by 13. Now I'm going to use the symmetric property so that the P, the number of pounds, comes first. But notice that I do not change the expression when it comes across the equal sign. I leave it just as is. Now, it tells me I want to know the number of pounds that the turkey weighs if it takes me 285 minutes to cook. Well, 285 is my time. So I'm going to now substitute in 285 for T. So we're going to have P equals 285 minus 108, all divided by 13. Well, we're going to do 285 285 minus 108. That gives me 177. So now we're going to do 177 divided by 13. So what this tells me is that my turkey is approximately 13.6 pounds. So turkey, 13.6 pounds. And since this is an estimate, I'm actually going to do the approximate symbol, not the equal symbol. So I've got P is approximately 13.6 pounds. On to your debriefing.